Okay, well, it's no fun. It's no fun being an illegal beyond. It's no fun being an illegal Emelian. And I'm not saying that Emelian Papadopoulos, 33-year-old, we don't know if he's a billionaire or not, but 33-year-old UAE port, Blackwater port billionaire. We don't know if weapons are being shipped right now from the Blackwater port of Dubai over to Venezuela for Eric Prince's call for 5,000 mercenary snipers. We don't know if the reason why Eric Prince is making calls now for snipers is because that Paul Whelan is tied up right now in a Moscow prison and wasn't able to get the GRU sniper list. We don't know if that's because Piketon, our Putin's chef, which he's not really a chef, he's actually the head of a mercenary organization called Wagner Group that Blackwater subcontracts to. Maybe he's tied up because Putin has now banned the use of Piketon and use of GRU in foreign conflicts. So now it seems like Blackwater is openly advertising for 5,000 snipers to go to Venezuela to hold the crowd back after the coup, CIA engineered coup today. And what it reminds me of is the tremendous amount of money that can be made in this weapons business. If you remember, this is the Iran deal. This is Kerry behind me over here. That's Rouhani over there. I don't have the other negotiator over here, but that's Moniz over there. And you'll remember how George Papadopoulos always seems to be on the plane with Moniz during the negotiations of the Iran deal. He's always flying first class with Moniz. This is in the Obama administration during 2015, during 2016, after the deal. He pops up in the Trump campaign. And it's just interesting how this Blackwater connection to these UAE ports keep going. Now, next month, or actually next month tomorrow, we're going to have the trial for Faruqi, who has the deal with the UAE Blackwater ports. If you recall, Eric Prince raised a private Blackwater army for MBZ and supplied them with weapons. Is George Papadopoulos that key linkage point, living in Thessalonica, shipping weapons to the UAE? Is this distant relative here, Emelian? It's no fun being an illegal Emelian, let me tell you. Is Emelian Papadopoulos a transplant from a CIA CSIS transplant from University of Toronto into Georgetown University to get the Harvard rinse from the Kennedy School of Government and then turn him into a billionaire port magnate from Good Harbor Security? Is that what he is? Or is he just a student that came in from University of Toronto and made it big in America? He made it big. Well, we don't know the answer to that. But that's why, is Trump wise to Eric Prince yet? I don't know, but his wife, Betsy DeVos, is still the Secretary of Education, which is not his wife, his sister, which is unbelievable. I think this is hard to peel back the onion on the coup because it makes you look like you didn't know that there was a coup. So they're trying to sort of unwind slowly out of it, but it is embarrassing. So we don't know these answers yet, but it is odd that there is another Papadopoulos in the shipping business in UAE. It is odd that Good Harbor is closely aligned, very closely aligned with Eric Prince. Also, the anti-terrorism czar, Richard Clarke, if you remember from the same Bush administration that we were talking about earlier today, the people who did the takedown of Trump, is closely associated with his companies on the board of directors of Good Harbor Security in UAE, Port of Dubai. This does appear to be the port that not only ships the stuff to all the centrifuges and weapons and so forth for the Iran deal being part weapons, part nuclear material for the $150 billion and some cash, about $33 billion cash out of the final $150 billion package. Is it going to be through Good Harbor Security? Does Good Harbor Security get the contract? Does Blackwater manage the shipping out of the port of Dubai? Is it split and shipped surreptitiously from the from the UAE ferry ports over across to Bandar Abbas. We don't know the answer to the question. We may find out more information next month on May 16th and 17th. Mike Flynn's due to have information out for the two trials that are overlapping with these UAE ports. One UAE port is the Faruqi case on the 17th, and then the Bijan Khan case is not far beyond that. Flynn is going to be the star witness to all this, so we're going to be watching with bated breath to see what Flynn's defensive team is going to do, what kind of information is going to be put out about Blackwater, the UAE ports, Emilian Papadopoulos, George Papadopoulos, Moniz, Kerry, all these people in the Iran deal. And then this is going to go all the way back, if you are going to be able to take it all in. But this is going to go all the way back to the original African, the Arab Spring, going all the way back to shipping of weapons from Thessalonica to Egypt. Not saying the Memphis Maersk is Memphis, Egypt, because I think that's too far down the Nile. But I am saying the Maersk is the shipping line. It's going to start, and George Papadopoulos is going to make his career shipping weapons to Egypt for that first major zero footprint in obviously Benghazi. Carter Page is also involved in that weapons play, obviously with Ambassador Stevens. So it's really the Benghazi kids, and Carter Page wasn't really a kid. He'd done several things in Sudan and other places with weapon shipments. But it's the Benghazi kids now that are going to go into the Trump takedown, which is, as I've said before, it's the same Blackwater cadre that's right now doing the Venezuela takedown, the same takedown that happened in Libya, same takedown that it was attempted in Syria, same takedown that was attempted in Turkey. And Mike Flynn's going to have a lot to say at both of the UAE port trials. Both of the UAE port trials. As a matter of fact, in the port of Dubai, the very famous airline that Mike Flynn flew on, the State Department banned airline, to visit different World Bank sites, I believe, that were secret sites, was Dnepr Airline, Volga Dnepr Airways, and they just won a contract today for managing the Boeing 747s in the port of Dubai, out of the airport of Dubai. So this is interesting developments that are all happening right now. It's sort of like people are getting their deals in before this stuff comes to trial, which is very interesting. So I'm going to flip over now, moving to the Trump takedown, and we'll go and just kind of flip through here. This morning on John's channel, I'll briefly summarize it, but I took a lot of these Blackwater characters from the Blackwater Wars, the Blackwater Revolutions, and so forth. Obviously, it's interesting that we're having one going on right now, as during the, I had no idea this morning that there would, finally be the call for snipers. But you can see very clearly why Blackwater would want to have a military relationship with a provider like Prigozhin, who has access to unlimited number of snipers, who has a back channel through Torsion and a back channel through Hank Greenberg, and Prigozhin, who has the Wagner Group. And why the NRA kind of cover for this is a valuable thing, why a J.D. Olson would be valuable, and why all these military people that are a part of Trump's transition team make sure that all these folks get slotted into the Trump cabinet. Okay, I see different things coming up. McDuff earlier interested in history of the U.S. industrial industry. Okay. Good morning, Brennan, Bremerton, Washington, born and raised in Warwick, Rhode Island. Okay, I've been to Bremerton, the submarine bullpen there in Bremerton. You can't talk about those subs coming in and out of Bremerton. Basically, the wrap was that, again, the key dates that we need to fill in. The first big dinner, the Center for National Interest is going to be this kind of cutout for doing these back channel negotiations for weapons and covert action. Hank Greenberg's very involved. Of course, Rockefeller is involved on the resources side. Hank Greenberg's involved on the weapons side. The back channel is going to be to Torsion in the central bank. Obviously, Butina is going to be the fall gal if the thing ever falls apart. But the key decision makers in all these, the key decision makers is what's important. The key people that are in the Council of 12 that are making all these decisions are what's important. And they're the same people. they're the same people that become part of Trump's transition team, making sure that the Reese budget is put in there, the Meese budget, excuse me, the Ed Meese budget's put in, and that all the contractors are taken care of. It's sort of like an Army-Navy club, lunch club for the first 3 months. So we have this first meeting with Jared Kushner and the Russians that's set up to try to kind of bait Jared Kushner. That's at the Mayflower Hotel at the end of April. There's going to be some meetings that some Hank Greenberg and Rockefeller Russia friendship meetings for June, July, and August. And we don't have the dates for those. And September, Paul Ericsson's going to be another key person setting these things up. J.D. Gordon is also going to be another key person. Now we're going to get to the up one level, if you will, up to the Mises. When we go to the transition team, and then of course we're going to have David Petraeus there, not far behind, and we're going to have some old pals, some old BWXT pals that we're going to introduce you to. This is going to be a guy named Nickel. His name is Michael Nickel. He's really kind of the person that's in charge of putting all these people in the transition team. And I say for the first 3 months, those August, September months, is really kind of the Army-Navy lunch club, making sure that all the players that are in our Army-Navy game, our military-industrial complex, making sure that they get all the contracts, making sure Kellogg is taken care of with khaki, making sure Blackwater is taken care of with J.D. Gordon, et cetera. And of course, Meese, General Meese here, this is Edwin Meese, is going to be more in the cybersecurity area, more in the cybersecurity area. If you remember, just really briefly, we talked about the background of Edwin Meese. Of course, in 1976, you have the Church Commission with all the illegal activities and the Phoenix program and so forth, all the CIA secret death squads and assassination teams. That leads to the 1978 FISA warrant, so you can't do unmaskings on Americans. Ed Meese is the person in the Reagan administration that writes 12333, Executive Order 12333, which allows a waiver, allows the National Security Council and National Security advisor, Mike Flynn's position, and then before him was Susan Rice's position, allows them to write a waiver, Now, if you want to go to my Twitter, you can see the interview of Task Force and I when we interviewed Tony Schaefer. I asked him specifically, although it was off camera, but I asked him several other questions that relate to 1233 that you can see. I knew he couldn't answer this one because it was classified, but I said, did Susan Rice sign the 1233 waiver? And he gave me a very legalistic answer. And I know Tony knows. The DIA director can sign a 1233 waiver. Mike Flynn, when he was head of DIA, he could sign a waiver. The head of CIA can sign a waiver. That's John Brennan. The head of all the ODNI can sign a waiver, like Butina. If you have someone up there like a David Martin McCormick, he can sign a waiver. Top secret clearance, you have to have the head of the ODNI or one of the intelligence agencies sign a waiver, but you can unmask a person in the United States with the waiver. That's what Ed Meese did. And that's what Susan Rice did at American University when all is said and done. That's what we're going to find out has been happening. And the 79 or the 68 investigative journalists that were working with Palantir up there were dossiering the Trump team. I think the real reason why the takedown doesn't work, and I'll get to the takedown in a second, but October is it looks like all the real action starts. I call it Love-tober. This is when J.D. Gordon falls in love with Butina. They have the 3 different meetings. There's the October 4th dinner. There's the Styx concert with all the girls on the key girls and Butina on October the 17th here in D.C. And then on the 24th, they go out for a romantic dinner. Well, are those really all romantic dinners with Butina, or really they are targeting different people that are in the Trump transition and making sure that they can pack the Trump transition team so they can pack the Trump administration after the inauguration? I think it's the latter, but we'll see. But we're trying to get those friendship dinner dates in the summer time frame, and then now we're in Love-tober. The Trump family, the Trump inner orbit, the Trump closely knit family is really, I think, the kryptonite to all these attempts at compromise, because Most campaigns have a sort of concentric circle organization with some insiders. Then there's a second ring and a third ring and a fourth ring and a fifth ring, so forth. And there's lots of communication between all the different rings, if you will. And that allows for lots of opportunities to insert in people and spies and so forth for compromise. This campaign was totally different because it was a total outsider. And the Trump circle was very tight with the family. So you had to go after Jared, Ivanka, or Eric, or Donald Jr. in this environment. And you can see by the Trump Tower meeting in June, that was really their only real shot at that. And that didn't go very well. Having Carter Page go over and meet with Sechin, who was kind of, that didn't go well. And all the George Papadopoulos attempts at offering email didn't go well. And then offering Flynn the email and Flynn's son the email and trying to get Flynn to do different things didn't really stick to Trump because it was outside of this core group of the insiders to Trump. Trump really used his son and daughter and son-in-law as kind of his buffer or his firewall. And because you couldn't really get Jared, you couldn't really trick Jared, and then you could only trick Donald Trump Jr. a few times before Jared would correct him. They kind of came isolated and insulated from these attempts at takedown. Trump administration, Pence recognizes random guy named Juan Guaido. Yeah, the guy. I think this is unprecedented. Everything John's been talking about on his channel with McDuff's channel is happening right before our eyes right now. Eric Prince, everything we said was going to happen in the next coup is happening right now. Eric Prince is calling for 5,000 volunteers, snipers, as we speak. That was out on Zero Hedge this morning. So it's really quite amazing. And again, look at Emelian. If you're, in this world, if you're a Blackwater 33-year-old import from the University of Toronto and you go and get a graduate degree at Georgetown and then you go and get a rinse at Kennedy School of Government, you become a 33-year-old billionaire in the UAE if you'll take chances for this organization. That's how this game works. Okay, so I wanted to give a quick look at the transition. I wanted to talk about dates with Butina. We have now Putin weighing in, saying he believes that she was threatened with prosecution. She was only doing what the Americans told her to do, and the Russians are looking at retaliating at the people who threatened her and so forth. Not physical retaliation, but I think they're going to start releasing more. So this is going to get very interesting because they also have a lot of information about the comings and goings of Paul Whelan to Russia, for instance. Yes, Tony Schaefer, thank you for posting that. Tony Schaefer also just last night said basically the same thing he told Task Force and I a year ago, 5,501 since 4 o'clock. No matter how many times you view the video, it stays at 5,501 videos, views. But you can confirm everything I said about Susan Rice having to sign the waiver. He says it right in the interview. And of course, it's not, if he answers it very classified information was spread all over, throwing candy out at a parade. That's how classified information was mishandled. And again, we know Susan Rice has said that she did it a lot. We know that. So she's up there. She's put in there after the election. The old HHS secretary Burwell's put in up there. Goldgeier doesn't even hide. And it goes on, gets more serious after the election, after the inauguration, gets even more serious until Butina is used for another year, till finally they give up and they raid her apartment. Why do they raid her apartment and grab the 12 gigabytes of information? Why do they grab the phone and the laptop and so forth? For her case, 50 hours, remember, she has 50 hours of cooperation with the FBI. That's over a long period of time. She's being used as a spy over a long period of time. That's not one meeting after one seizure of one laptop and one phone. That's a whole bunch of meetings and a whole bunch of cooperation and a whole bunch of wearing a wire and a whole bunch of encouraging other girls who are not Russian, not Ukraine, whole bunch of other girls up at American University campus to go to these parties. So there's going to be lots and lots of witnesses. So we're organizing this Love Boat trip for going out in Baltimore Harbor down to around Gibson Island for all the women that may have been invited to one of the Butina parties. And there's going to be a free ticket for any of the women that were there. You can produce pictures of Butina or any of the other people that were close to Susan Rice and knew about Susan Rice's mentoring relationship with Butina. Okay, so as soon as read Tony Schaefer, he was gone. Okay, as soon as GW read Tony Schaefer, he was gone. I don't know what that means. Oops. I guess buffering is happening. Okay, I'm going to leave it right there. I think that we've hit a Tony Schaefer situation. So if you, again, all you have to do is go watch the video. It's right there. February of last year at CPAC. So, oh no, you just got here. Okay. So I'm going to leave. Here's what I'll do. I'll timestamp it there at 2140. I'm going to go cut the video later to 2140, and then I'll take questions. But the key ideas here are the same people, and this is David Petraeus right there. If you don't remember, he leaves his 7 notebooks on his desk in Florida near Timber Cypress. Oh, we're having problems here. I rather than have problems the rest of the way, I'm going to just leave it there. Watch this again if you would like, and then go to the McDuff from this morning. You have a lot more discussion of this transition team and drill down. Thank you very much.